Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Shenteria. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how I bought my mom a home and invested in a rental property in 2020 during COVID. All right, starting off, so this is quite an interesting story because in 2020 COVID hit, right? So there was a lot of chaos happening in the world, a lot of confusion, a lot of fear, unfortunately a lot of death, sadly. But while all of that was happening and a lot of chaos and all that things, I was still freelancing. I was working from home. My business actually was going up as COVID hit. And so in 2020, unfortunately, there was a situation where my mom, my aunt, and my cousins were displaced from the house that they were renting from because of a fire. And so my fiance and I, of course we found out about it because my mom had told us. So they had been like living in a motel for about two months, I believe about 2 months. And I don't know how, I think my fiance and I were talking and somehow we came up with the idea to get them a house. And what's interesting is that I used half of my net worth, and my fiance at the time, sadly his parents had passed away and he had an inheritance, and so whatever I decided to put in for the house, he matched that. So that meant that the half of my net worth and the amount that he would match, we would have that together, and so we could buy a house for them. And that's exactly what we did. So for me, I am a really good saver. I've always been a saver, even when I worked at Walmart forever ago. I would always make sure I had at least $1,000 saved up. Like every single year, I'd at least have $1,000 for any type of emergencies. And I wish everybody had that mindset. Like, don't just feel like, yeah, I'm just going through life like paycheck to paycheck. Save some of that, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much you make. What matters is how much you keep of that. There's so many people that make so much more than me, like so much more than me, and yet they're not holding on to any of it. Their savings is non-existent, it's zero. So be a really good saver, whether you're a freelancer or whether you're working for somebody else, whether you're an employee. Save some of your money. So when it came down to it, we used that income together and we actually bought my mom a house. So that meant my mom, my aunt, and my cousins now had a place to stay. And honestly, when you think about it, if it were you and if it were your mom and you were in the position to be able to help her or to help them, you would absolutely do it if you were in that position. But most people, unfortunately, don't have that to where they're in that position to be able to help. Most people are kind of living like this. But you have to save money. You have to keep some of that hard-earned money that you're making. You can't just keep living like that, because when are you going to get to the position where you can help other people? That's where my mindset is at. I want to be in a position where I can help other people instead of always being the one that needs to be helped, right? Because when it comes to the government and things like that, that's there to help people. But if you're always living like that and constantly needing that help, when are you going to get to the point where you're showing the next generation that you can thrive? You ain't got to just keep surviving, right? So that's where my mindset is that I want to be in a position to help other people. And that's why saving has always been a big part of my life. I don't want to have to go to somebody because I need them to help me out with this or that. No, I need to be able to do it myself, to be self-sufficient, and always be able to have the money that is needed to put where, here, there, to help this person, help that person. And so we went in half and half and bought my mom a house. So that was 50% of my net worth. The other half of my net worth, I invested in a rental property, which is an actual duplex in Illinois with my fiance. So he owns 78.8%, I own 22.2%. So the other half of my net worth went to that rental property. So now I am part owner of a duplex, and so that rental income comes in every single month for me. So that's passive income. So that's fantastic. And now when it came down to the whole thought of 50% of my net worth going to my mom and into that house, did I give it a second thought? Did I even think about, hey, this is 50% of my net worth? Absolutely not, because my mom wouldn't have thought of that. My mom gave up so much of her life to actually have kids. She's a single mother of 5 that raised 5 kids on her own. And so it's the whole thing of, why would I ever second guess that? And if anybody was ever in this position, which everybody wants to buy their parent a house. Everybody wants that because all parents deserve it, right? But I never at one point in time thought to myself, well, this is 50% of my net worth. Should. No, absolutely I'm going to do that because that's my mom. No doubt. There was no question about it. Now, when it comes to buying the house, of course, majority of that money that I utilized was from my freelance earnings because I've been freelancing pretty much all of the money. So I'll say all of the money from the house, my 50% of net worth, and the 50% put into the duplex was from my freelance earnings. But let's be real about it. It's not just for my freelance earnings, because you can't just be like, oh, I'm a freelancer, so I'm going to have all this money. No, because like I said, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much you make. What matters is how much you keep. So you have to be saving that money, making sure that you're putting some away every single month. That is absolutely important. So you can do this: lower your expenses, stop buying junk, and save your money. Either lower your expenses. If you work a regular job, you have to lower your expenses. But if you want to freelance and build a side hustle, you're raising your income. You're making more money. You have that side hustle. You didn't just have that regular job, but you have a side hustle that's bringing in more income for you. But also lower your expenses as well there. But make sure that you're actually keeping some of the money that you're actually making. And for me, one of the things that I do is I have an online savings account, which means the money goes straight into there. I don't have direct access to it until about 2 days. They can actually convert it back into my bank account. I use Ally. It is an online savings account, and I pretty much put $300 in there at the beginning of every single month so that I can save some of the money that I have coming in. And I have other spots where I put money as well. So I'm not just a saver today, I'm also an investor because I want my money to be working for me. That's why I put it into the duplex, and I actually have some cryptocurrency, and I have stocks as well as my online courses, my books. So I'm kind of putting myself into this system of passive income, which is exciting, and it's one of those things that I didn't learn about as a kid. I didn't learn about growing up. So I had to learn those things as an adult. So that's another thing, is learn things that will put you in a better position. Learn things that will be key to you building up the future that you want for yourself. Apply those things to your life. That is important. So creating the future that you want for yourself, whether it be buying your parents a home, whether it be getting that car that you want, whatever it is, make sure that you're being smart about your money. Keep track of where it's going. Stop overspending. Stop buying junk that goes nowhere, because the future that you create for yourself is so dependent on what you do today and what you do tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Long-term thinking is important to create the future that you want for yourself. So hopefully this explained everything about how I bought my mom a house and invested in my first rental property by utilizing my freelance earnings, because that's absolutely what happened. It was through freelancing that I was able to actually have the income and the freedom to be able to invest in something so big for my mom, and then also invest in something for myself in 2020 during the time of COVID. So now, in knowing that I bought my mom a house by using my freelance earnings, wouldn't it be smart to actually start a side hustle to start freelancing? Yes, it would be very, very smart, because I can say without a doubt, I would not have at all been able to buy my mom a house if I was still working a regular job. I definitely would not have been able to do that because my hourly wage is so low. It would be too low, whereas I have no ceiling, no cap on my earnings as a freelancer. So those side hustles can totally keep going up, as opposed to a regular job. You can't necessarily get to that point. You can't get to that point for real at all. So when it comes to freelancing and having a side hustle, it's absolutely worth it to build it up, because for me to be able to get my mom a house, to actually have the money that I had to be able to buy my mom a house by using my freelance earnings, that's pretty huge. And everybody wants to buy their parents a house, right? Everybody wants to buy their mom a house. I couldn't wait to do that. I was so excited to do that. It was a privilege for me to be able to do that. It was an honor for me to be able to do that. So what's stopping you from building a freelance side hustle? What is stopping you? There should be nothing stopping you, because you want to earn more, right? Because if you feel like your regular job, you're not making enough, so you want to earn more. So start that side hustle so that you're earning more. Freelancing is absolutely worth it, and it was one of those things where although the rest of the world was panicking, majority of people were panicking, I was calm, very calm, working, business was going like that. It was going really well. So freelancing is absolutely worth the investment of time, whatever it takes to get you there. Keep doing it, and I appreciate you for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up, a like, I appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell notifications so you can be notified of the next video. I will see you in the next video. Thank you and happy freelancing.